Good morning and welcome to another episode of Like It or Leave It. It is Friday, May 12th. Hope you guys all having a great week. Hope you guys are to have a great weekend. Let's get it started. We got some interesting things to talk about today. Thought a couple hypotheticals and I got some good news. I don't always get to share good news, so we're going to enjoy this today. Let me readjust my seat, make sure I'm all comfy. So, we're going to be talking about the Warriors, the Chicago Cubs, and everyone's favorite rookie, Dak Prescott. But first, if I told you the MVP of the league was not determined by how good someone is in the regular season, the MVP or the real MVP of the league always shows up in the playoffs. The guy who, when it comes down to crunch time, that's the guy you want on your team. That's the guy who makes the big play. That's the guy who gets to the finals. You would all think I'm talking about LeBron, and you'd probably be right. I've already discussed is LeBron the MVP every year simply because he's the best player in the league. And there's a case to be made for that. There was a case to be made for Michael Jordan when he was the best player in the league. I also talked about a few weeks ago, if we're using the logic of how we elevate LeBron as saying because he does these certain things and that's why he's the MVP, I made the case for Steph Curry. And to show complete objectivity here, using my big words, I made a video even before that saying Kawhi Leonard was the MVP because as a fan and personally, I think Kawhi Leonard does more MVP things than LeBron or Curry did this year because I do believe it is a regular season award along with how well you're playing and how well you're playing against elite competition. Well, let's take the same logic that because you're the best, you should be the MVP. Let's take that logic and let's use it for coaches. You know what coach consistently, year after year, is shown to be the best? You know what coach year after year is getting to finals? Coach is consistently out coaching and making other guys look like they should be at a high school level. I don't know about you, but I saw a game last night where Greg Popovich completely outcoached, outsmarted, and dominated Mike D'Antoni, and they weren't in the same league. Not even in the same league. Mike D'Antoni's probably going to win Coach of the Year because, Lord forbid, if Eric Spoelstra wins it, I'm sorry. I don't care how good their second half of the season was. You can't win Coach of the Year just because you got to 500. That doesn't work. Could you imagine an 8-8 team in the NFL having their coach win Coach of the Year? I mean, if you're on the Browns, sure, I'll give you that because that's just its own shit show and dumpster fire. Greg Popovich, year after year in the playoffs, when it counts, is the best coach in the league. He outcoaches the quote-unquote best coaches in the league. And if that's the case we make for LeBron, then Greg Popovich should be the coach of the year every year. There's been a lot of talk this week comparing him and Bill Belichick, and I've got my own view on Bill Belichick, but regardless, stats are stats. The numbers are there. Those are the two most dominant professional sport head coaches that we have in America. Not going to talk about hockey. I don't know enough about hockey. There might be some dude in hockey who's won like 5 Stanley Cups, and I just don't know about it. This show's not for hockey. If you like hockey, there's other shows for you. And I know I said I wasn't going to bring it up as much anymore, but I just get really irritated. For as great as LeBron is, we just created. There used to be the Jordan rules when he was playing, how teams defended him and how teams played him. Where at one point, hey, if he's got 30 points in the third quarter and we're down by 20, we're elbowing him in the neck. That was part of the Jordan rules. There's in the media there's the LeBron rules. Hey. Don't. LeBron had a bad game. Don't talk about it. Hey, no. We're going to talk about the guys around him struggled, and he's just too great. And the other guys around him played so bad, his greatness wasn't able to elevate them to all-time standards. But don't worry, he'll do it tomorrow night. Promise, guys. And it's like there's just no room for criticism, and there's no room for objectivity on LeBron. Mike D'Antoni did a hell of a job in Houston this year. Mike D'Antoni's a really nice head coach. He doesn't know a damn thing about defense. Don't even think he knows how to use the letter D. Like, his name is Mike D'Antoni. Like, he's probably going to get Coach of the Year simply for the improvement Houston had over last year. You know, that was the case for Harden winning MVP. The improvement over last year. You know why guys like Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick don't get to get Coach of the Years? Because they don't have this curve that they're improving on. They don't go, in Bill Belichick's case, 3-13, 4-12, and then rebound and make the playoffs next year, and everyone goes, oh my gosh, what a great coaching job. Greg Popovich doesn't have years where he's not winning 50, 60 games. They've won 50 games for the last 20 years. That's incredible. That's 1,000 wins over my lifetime. I don't know what it's like to see a San Antonio Spurs team do bad. I just don't. And when it counts, when he's in the playoffs, when it's crunch time, when he needs to drop a play, he needs a timeout, he needs to get in a guy's face, he needs to push the right button, he gets it. It does not matter if it's Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, does not matter. He did not have Kawhi Leonard last night. Who's a top 3, top 4 player? I mean, I talked earlier in the week about Kevin Durant being better than him, and I do believe that. But Kawhi Leonard is a top 3, top 4 player. The best player on that team by far. And he wins by 40 points. When you are so good in your profession, you make other guys just look like a joke by comparison. And Mike D'Antoni at this point, he's just throwing the white flag when he gets matched up with Greg Popovich. He's 0-5 now. Last 5 times he plays. It's just, it's like, hey, can't do it, guys. Had a good run. He's got his number. He's the best coach in the league. And he's consistently doing the best in primetime spots, in big spots. Started the players resting trend, which you can say how you want about that, but that trend affects the entire league now. Because when you're really good, people want to be like you. And for all of my LeBron lovers out there, LeBron said he was the greatest coach of all time. So take that one. Gosh, I don't hate LeBron, I promise. I just hate the media around LeBron. I hate how he gets talked about. He's a great player, obviously. I don't hate anyone that I talk about. I don't have the room. I don't know any of these guys. It's always a great thing about sports and politics is we always argue and fight over a bunch of human beings that we'll never meet in our life, but we talk about them like they're our brother or sister. All right, let's get some scores here. Got the Red Sox over the Brewers 4-1. I feel like I'm super loud right now. Royals over the Rays 6-0. Astros over the Yankees 3-2. Yankees they're coming up here. The Orioles and Nationals postponed. Gotta love that score. The Blue Jays over the Mariners 7-2. Rangers over the Padres 5-2. Twins over the White Sox 7-6. Rockies over the Dodgers 10-7. And Diamondbacks over the Pirates 2-1. This season's really weird. Talked about on Monday about how the standings are all. If you look at it without diving really hard into stats, if you just look at team names and their placement, we're in a really weird place in baseball right now. Like I've talked about parity and dominance in the other sports, and parity has always been a weird thing in baseball because baseball's only got one real dynasty, and that's the Yankees. And so it's almost created this Well, I'm either a Yankee fan or like one of the other 29 teams. So parity works in baseball because there is no consistent there's no consistent winner. Like the Giants damn near made a dynasty, and that was 3 out of 5. And if you still compare them, the Yankees' last 3 dynasty runs was winning 4 straight, 5 out of 6, and 9 out of 11. So, it's the Yankees and it's the other 29 teams. All right. Who's your favorite person to talk about basketball on TV? If you're like 90, I'm going to say 95% of America, because, 5% of people just be on some shit. If you're like 95% of America, Charles Barkley is probably your favorite basketball commentator. He's funny. He's able to relate what he's saying in a way that you're like, wow, I don't feel stupid because he's saying stuff that goes over my head. B, I also might just be smarter than him. He's kind of fat and not good looking anymore, so you feel confident about yourself when you're watching him. He's got an infectious personality. He's the guy at the bar. He's just really good at his job. Plus, he has experience being a former player, being one of the greatest players ever. And people like to hear people talk from a position of been there, done that. One of the things Charles Barkley always used to say, and still says, is you can't win a title on jump shots. Introduced the Warriors. The Warriors kind of messed that up. They won a title on jump shots. Steph Curry has 4 of the 5 all-time greatest shooting seasons in terms of number of threes. And you know who's got the 3rd greatest shooting season of all time? Well, his teammate. You know who has the 6th greatest shooting season of all time? His teammate. And when the Warriors started winning, the rest of the league adapted. Once again, you're good at something, someone wants to be like you. We all wanted to be like Mike. And now, the consensus is you have to shoot threes or you don't win. Charles, I'm on your side with this, and I'm going to explain why. For whatever reason, when we get anomalies, people justify what happens with the anomaly as a norm. Like, and it's a really weird thing. It's like, were the Bulls in the 90s that great? Or did they just have Michael Jordan, and that's why they were elevated to 6 titles out of 8 years? Are the Patriots that good? Or did they just score the luckiest 6th-round draft pick of all time, which would have never even happened if Drew Bledsoe didn't get hurt? We won't talk about that. Tom Brady's an anomaly. Michael Jordan is an anomaly. The Warriors are an anomaly. They have 2... whatever way you want to put it, they're going to end up with 2 of the 3 or 4 greatest shooters of all time. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. Klay Thompson, when it's all said and done, his statistics will justify him being the 2nd greatest shooter of all time. They have Kevin Durant, who might be the greatest 6'11", 7-foot shooter, because he can shoot better than Dirk. You've got Draymond Green, who's can shoot and plays this Rodman, Charles Barkley role with the team. You're going to end up with not just the greatest 1 or 2 shooters, just the greatest collection of shooters of all time. And there starts the anomaly. You know why part of the reason why the Rockets got blown out last night is because they're trying to play mini Warriors. But as good as their 3-point shooters are, and they have 5 or 6 guys who can shoot the 3 really well, they don't have all-time shooting like Steph Curry, like Klay Thompson, like Kevin Durant. Because the Warriors are so far and away better than everyone else, that's why they're the ones competing for titles. There's a lot of teams trying to shoot threes right now. The Trailblazers shoot a lot of threes. They're not competing for titles. The Celtics shoot a lot of threes. They're not competing for titles. The only teams really that just are stuck in their non-3-point shooting ways right now, really like the two big ones obviously are like the Thunder and the Bulls. And another team I'm going to talk about here in a second. Just because Golden State can win a title with threes doesn't justify that you can normally win a title with threes. Oh, but LeBron won it last year and the Cavs won it last year and they were a 3-point shooting team. They were a 3-point shooting team. And you know when they finally started winning games? When they stopped shooting threes and they gave it to the 6'8", 250-pound fucking freight train and he shoved it up Golden State's ass. That's when they won their title. Still think it's, we can all win on shooting jumpers? No. You need some kind, unless you are the anomaly, that is Curry and Thompson, you need some kind of consistent way to get a bucket, get into the free throw line, post moves, being able to just drive by guys. You need something. You know? Why was Jordan always able to get a bucket? Because he had a mid-range game. He had a post game. He was never out at the 3-point line. Oh, but the Warriors would have killed Jordan back in the day because 3 is more than 2. And if you just look at the math, yeah, this specific Warriors team would do well, but not the rest of the league. They don't have the shooters like them. They don't have the anomaly. I always find it interesting when people talk about like being the Patriots is all the Patriots fan in my lifetime, they're very hard to judge because they've only lived through this anomaly. So they don't have context on what it's like where, you know, your team struggles or your team does not have that all-time great player. So their views get twisted based on the anomaly and they think that's the norm. You really still can't win a title just shooting threes. Unless you're the anomaly and you are the once-in-a-generation group of talent like the Warriors have. And the Warriors have a legit chance. Nobody wants to hear it. They could win 4 or 5 titles before this is all said and done. Because not only is that team all-time great right now, that team's going to age so well. They're not athletic. They're not like Steph Curry's not out here dunking on people or relying on, you know, running a 4.3 40. Klay Thompson averages like 10 dribbles a game. Like he does this. That's his practice. And he does a little bit of light cardio. The only guy who's going, the guy who's going to go downhill fastest is Draymond Green because he actually does rely on his athleticism and he has to play bigger guys and he's going to get more wear and tear. But Durant, Thompson, and Curry, they're going to be able to shoot like this. If Ray Allen's an example, they'll be able to shoot like this for another 6-7 years and possibly even longer than that. But fuck Golden State. Had to get that off my chest. I want to add some. What's the word when you come from both sides on something? Whatever that word is, let me know down in the comment section. That's what I'm trying to give down. Is like I want to give points and references from both sides. So even if I hype something up, you know, I always let it know you can put a middle finger up at it. That's all I'm here for. Baseball. This one's not going to be quite as long, but I think it's a really cool story to talk about. So, Chicago Cubs. Last time I checked the record, 17-17. 17-17. Defending World Series champs. Is it unusual for a team to be under 5 or to be at 500 or under 530 games? No. The majority of the league is at the moment. We've got 3 or 4 exceptions, and then pretty much everyone else is just about 500. Baseball's a really hard sport to play. Baseball is a interesting sport to play just on how long it is, attrition, trying not to get hurt is almost like 70 to 80% of the game, especially because in baseball, little injuries will sideline you compared to football where it's like, I mean, I've seen football guys, their pinky break 3 different directions and they say, coach, tape it up, I'm going to go out and play. In baseball, your pinky breaks 3 different ways. Well, you're out for the year. Not for the year, but you get my point. But I know how to fix the Cubs. I think it makes all the sense in the world. And if you want to chase the opportunity, which sometimes GMs don't, they want to secure long term compared to short term. So they don't want to necessarily sell the farm and have this short spurt because it could possibly cost them their job, which works in every instance except Theo Epstein because he's got like a 7-year deal, just won a World Series in Chicago for the first time in 108 years. You know, he broke the Red Sox and Cubs curse. Like, that man has maybe the most job security in America outside of Bill Gates. Like, he cannot be fired. The Cubs could go 0-162, and he keeps his job. The Cubs still have between Javier Baez and Jorge Soler, not Soler, I apologize. Between Javier Baez being the big one, they've got out-of-position players. Him and Kyle Schwarber, I'd say one of those two guys can be a part of this trade. Guys playing out of position. They're loaded at the major league level. They are loaded at the minor league level. This is when you put some prospects together and you go get yourself a blue chip pitcher. And people are going to say, well, why break up a good thing? They just won a World Series. Yeah, but winning a World Series, like I said, it's the Yankees and it's the 29 other teams. If you want to be in the class of the Yankees, you got to be willing to give up to get. And what did they do last year? They were really good. They were like, got it, guys. Now we're going to push ourselves over the level. Put prospects together. Went and got a blue chip pitcher. And for this example, they got a blue chip foreign pitcher and Aroldis Chapman throwing 100 miles in the 9th inning. Took them from really good to great. Got a World Series out of it. And even though Chapman left, and they only got a 3-4 month rental, it's worth every dime. It is so worth every dime. People don't like to think that, oh, we're giving up long-term prospects for a short-term player. What if you just bought a product that all products break at some point? Your phone, your tablets, cameras, cross your fingers. Everything breaks at a certain point. But if you get to buy a product, and even if it said it lasts 4 months, let's use dating. This is an example. You got to buy one of those cheap, gimmicky dating products, and it only lasted 4 months. But at the end of that 4 months, you got whatever girl you were trying to get with. You got your Mrs. Right, your Miss America, whoever you think is top dog. You'd buy it in a heartbeat. And for anyone that said they want it, you're lying to yourself. But when you put that product into person form, you're like, I really, this is why a lot of people reject, what do you call them, the hookup people, whatever their names are. I can't actually think of their things. It's like the people who put you in a position to hook up with someone else. You don't like them. But if you could just buy a product that got you the girl, you'd immediately buy it. If I'm the Cubs, I put together my prospects, I go get you Darvish. The Rangers are struggling, aren't in nearly the market. They are, not in near the same kind of situation. They need to restock their farm system. And yeah, do you only get you Darvish for 2-3 months? Yeah. But it's absolutely worth it. And you know why Yu Darvish also makes a great fit with the Cubs? You know who was second on the bidding list for Yu Darvish when he came over here for Japan because we bid on human beings? The Chicago Cubs with $35 million. So the interest is already there. The need is there. The talent is there. Go get yourself Yu Darvish. You put him in because Yu Darvish has ace stuff. The Cubs have 5 really good pitchers, but they don't have ace stuff anymore. They succeeded last year on the fact that their 5 guys were veterans, knew how to pitch, and Jake Arrieta and Kyle Hendricks, be completely reasonable with yourself, pitched above expectations. Not saying they can't pitch really well, not saying that they're not good pitchers, but Jake Arrieta is not going to be a career 5 ERA guy and then suddenly just go to low 2s and multiple Cy Youngs and no-hitters and all that other stuff. Kyle Hendricks is not going to be a 2.1, 2.2 ERA guy leading the league in ERA every year. You get Yu Darvish, slide everybody else down, put one of your guys in the bullpen as long relief. You get yourself back to the playoffs. You get yourself back to a position to win. And you got a legit ace when it comes time, when you got to throw someone out there for game 1, 4, and 7. Gosh, I would absolutely buy. What would that product be called, do you think? If we could sit there and it's like, get any girl you want, but it breaks after 4 months. Tinder, there we go. No, Tinder, because Tinder you don't necessarily get any girl you want. Tinder's a good app, but it's not necessarily get any girl you want.
I get every girl I want.
Okay, well, my cameraman gets every girl he wants. So what does he need? He wouldn't buy my product. I'd go broke with him. I was getting ready for the show yesterday, and I always sit there and kind of search the internet because I'm at work for a good part of the day. So I've always got to surf. There we go. Surf the internet. We'll throw it back for all you 90s or pre-90s people who don't know the internet. Cruising the web. And so I sat there and see what happened in the time that I was gone at work. And generally you get headlines, and I've been a advocator of sports headlines really suck right now. This is even considering I'm gonna change the name of the show to No Headlines. But I don't think it's gonna stay in I don't think the headlines are gonna stay as bad as they are now. So we'll wait on the name change. One of the more popular things people were talking about yesterday was headlines going into the NFL season. And there was top 10 lists, top 5 lists, all these different things. And people had all their own different ideas what they consider the biggest headlines. Everything from Odell Beckham to are the Raiders going to stay this good? Marshawn Lynch. Everyone has their own agenda when they make those kind of lists. What they're interested in is what they're going to consider the top headlines. Except for one. There's one pretty consistent headline, and it's just a headline always in the NFL. And because of the team he plays on, it's going to be an even bigger headline than normal. We love when we do the draft and you get all these rookie quarterbacks and they give you something to talk about. Who's going to start week 1? Who's going to play well? Who's going to be the next franchise QB? Who's going to be, everyone's looking for a Peyton Manning. Top first round pick, lead your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. That's what everyone's looking for. Almost no one gets it, but we're all looking for it. It's like love. When you get a guy who is not a first-round pick and he steps up, people are like, wow, were we wrong about him? Or is he going to show the steady decline, which is why he wasn't a first-round pick in the first place? With Russell Wilson, it was always, well, he had this really good rookie season, but is he going to break down and slow down and show what the tape showed of his college career, which is why he became a third round pick. The number one headline in the NFL going into this year is the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. There's no longer Romo. They're coming off a 13-3 season and 13-2 while he was actually playing. I'm not counting the last game. Lost a heartbreaker in the playoffs. Returning their offensive line, returning pretty much their entire team outside of Romo. Ezekiel Elliott back in his second year. More chemistry with Des Bryant. And we all want to know, is this Are they going to be able to repeat what they did last year? Or are the Cowboys going to flame out like they have a tendency to do over the last decade and a half? Now, I really like Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott so much. When I do my Madden franchises, he is the quarterback I draft. Really like the guy. I'm very torn, and I'm not even willing to give a 100% yay or nay on if I think he's going to do really well in his second season. He is the thing with any sport when you've played, especially second year starting, they have film on you. They're going to approach you differently. This is why all the great first-year QBs, RG3, Matt Ryan Tannehill had an okay first year, Joe Flacco, they all generally come back down to earth in year 2. Do I think he's going to come back down crashing? No. Do I think he's going to have a 3-4 interception year? No. He'll average out probably somewhere in the middle. But when you're Dak Prescott, not that he had a lot of media fanfare coming into the NFL, but when you're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to talk about you every Sunday, every Monday, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You are safe nowhere. They're going to talk about you at school. They're going to talk about you in the nursing home. They're going to talk about you on SportsCenter, FS1. Can you handle LeBron, as mentally tough as he is, he does 0 dark 30, which is during the playoffs, he just turns off his social media. He turns off his TV. Dak Prescott, I highly suggest doing something like that because being the Cowboys QB, ask Tony Romo for some last-minute advice, the most scrutinized position in sports. That's why there should be other headlines bigger. There should be things people are looking forward to more. I personally, like I said, I have my own agenda. I'm looking to other things particularly more. But you are the biggest headline. You are the number one story. And while you will get praised, if you do well, you will be scrutinized beyond belief if you fuck up. Once again, you guys, thank you very much. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, word of mouth. Shout really loudly out your window and tell your neighbors. However you get the message out, I'm all for it. Throw a rock at someone and then have one of those notes. And instead of send nudes, put, hey, I got a show you should watch.
Send nudes.
Send nudes too. That's never a bad idea.
Send that written on your tits.
Yeah, there you go, right? Like it or leave it on her tits. All right.